Hello, this is just a test of some equipment that I got. I got a webcam, testing microphone, and just some recording software. I figure I want to try and step into some new things, and so this is literally just a little test video. I figure I would do something nice and simple and quick for it. Here, I'm actually going to move myself to be the head of Chester Cheetah here. So yeah, I'm going to put the Arkham campaigns into a tier list, my personal tier list. So I'll go from the beginning. We've got Night of the Zealot, the core box campaign. It's only 3 scenarios. Okay, so my categories are best of the best. Obviously, only one thing can go in best of the best. Personal favorites. These are just my things that I just love the most. Mostly great. Honestly, most of the Arkham campaigns are very good, if not great. So mostly great is like it's almost one of my favorites. Not quite good. It's just baseline. Good is good. Not bad. Ones where I'm like I don't hate it, but I think like sometimes it might have some flaws that other ones do not have. And then not a fan, just ones that I just don't really want to go back to almost ever. So yeah, so Night of the Zealot. I mean, it does its job of teaching the game, teaching basic concepts. The Gathering is the first scenario, and it's very good at just being a baseline. Hey, you get clues, you fight enemies. That's it. There's a boss. Midnight Masks is one of the best scenarios in the whole game, but it really drops off at the Devourer Below, the finale. It's really not a good scenario. It's kind of broken. So I would put this in not bad. I think the Return to helps it a lot. The Return to the Gathering is actually like really fun. So yeah, so that's that. Then we go to basically Core Box Part 2, the Dunwich Legacy. Um, it's so up and down. I think it really shows its age. I think the first scenarios are pretty good. You can do them in whichever order you want. But then you go to Miskatonic Museum, sucks. It's like really one of the worst scenarios. Essex County Express is fun. Blood on the Altar is awesome. But then it drops off again heavily to Undimensioned and Unseen, and Where Doom Awaits are both bad. But then Lost in Time and Space is really good. So, but it kind of goes like here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep it in not bad because the downsides of it are really low. But I'll put it a little higher than Night of the Zealot. So yeah, off to not a great start here, but then we move to Path to Carcosa, and I think there's only one place that it can go, and that's best of the best. I think they kind of just nailed it here. I feel like they got their legs under them with the first few, had their learning of doing that, and then kind of just everything came together in Path to Carcosa. The the box came out. You had Curtain Call, which is a really fun basic scenario that it can go in some different ways. You have The Last King, which is always fun, and it's like so dynamic story wise. I think that's one of the biggest strengths of Carcosa is that it absolutely nails its storyline, and the scenarios are all almost fun. Echoes of the Past is not good, but that's like it stands out like a sore thumb in just being the only negative of a truly phenomenal campaign. Like this is one where I think if I was to teach somebody the game and be like, we're gonna play a first campaign, it probably actually would be Carcosa because it's not that complicated, but they just nail everything in it. All right, so the Forgotten Age, going into the jungle, fighting snakes. Yig is the big bad. Oh, and also Carcosa has Hastur, and Hastur is like always the coolest ancient one in these Arkham games. So yeah, so fighting snakes, Yig. See, this one, I think I'm gonna put it in mostly great. That might be an exaggeration because I think it has wildly up and down swings. I think the first few scenarios are really good. Threads of Fate is amazing. But then it goes into a really rough patch. Because the Boundary Beyond, it's not bad, but it's just like really punishingly hard. And then Heart of the Elders is just like the biggest filler ever. I'm not even that big of a fan of City of Archives, but I'll give it a pass because they really like went for something memorable. But then after that, it redeems it because you go to Doom of Etsley and not Doom of Etsley, the Depths of Yoth. And Depths of Yoth is an absolute top tier scenario. And then Shattered Aeons is not very good. So like the finale is not great, but Depths of Yoth is so good that it almost kind of feels like a finale. So I will put it in mostly great. Okay. Now bear with me here. The Circle Undone. Is the Circle Undone just good? There's so many reasons to say that it's not all that great. I would say first and foremost, the storyline in The Circle Undone is really disjointed. It's kind of a messy story. It's kind of like wildly going from scenario to scenario and just kind of like loosely tied together. That being said, this is a personal favorite of mine. I think the biggest thing about it for me is the vibe. I love just like the feel of The Circle Undone. I think like it has such an element of fate being a thing, like things being kind of out of your hands. You are destined for something. And I think it kind of captures that in a lot of ways. Even in the story, I can kind of forgive the campaign storyline because it almost feels like you're caught in the middle of something that you are not in control of. Like you are not the main character of The Circle Undone, like you are in pretty much every other campaign. You're kind of along for the ride, and I could see why people would really not like that. Like I understand that a lot of people are not that high on The Circle Undone, but I think it has such cool vibes. I think Haunted is a really cool mechanic. I love a lot of like the treachery design, the things where like you see something and you just see it building up and just knowing that something's gonna happen. Like it has such like a big faded thing, and Azathoth is always a blast. And this is probably the best finale of any Arkham campaign. Before the Black Throne is just like absolutely amazing. Okay, now we got a weird one here. The Dream Eaters. So this one is in two parts. You play like two halves with different investigators. One side in the Dreamlands, and one side in the waking world. See, it's weird because I would say in the Dreamlands, it's mostly great. In the waking world, I would say it's good. I actually might just put the Dream Eaters in good. Because I think, first off, it's really easy. Yeah, it's tough. Like, it has some really great scenarios. I think the finales are, like, neat, but they kind of are a letdown, too, with how easy they are. Although, like, I don't want to go too far into that because of my opinion on a future one. So you know what? I'm going to put it in mostly great. With the caveat that like it's not always perfect. There's definitely some things that I wish that there could be a Return to Dream Eaters to kind of like patch some stuff up. But like, you know, like Search for Kadath is super memorable. I think the Beyond the Gates of Sleep is like so much of it is just like a dud. I like Waking Nightmare. I wish A Thousand Shapes of Horror was like had better spooky house energy. I'm kind of like talking myself into good. I'm gonna put it at good. And I want to say, like, again, this is on the scale of Arkham campaigns. Like, I can have an absolute blast playing Dunwich. Like, I'm always pretty much gonna have a good time playing. So, like, something in not bad here would be like really high praise to like non Arkham games. All right, Innsmouth Conspiracy is absolutely a personal favorite of mine. Again, going with Circle and Done, I think I care about vibes a lot. And I love, well, first off, I've always loved Innsmouth the most of all of the Arkham locations. I guess it's not in Arkham, it's in Innsmouth. But all of the like Arkham game and the Arkham story stuff, like the Lovecraft stories, Innsmouth to me is like my favorite. Like I'm personally afraid of the water in real life, but I love water stuff probably because of that. And so like I feel like Innsmouth Conspiracy feels wet. Like you feel that thing of you're like I'm in this location, I've got water, you know, like up to my knees, and I'm dealing with this. I think the box specific mechanisms are maybe the best ever in Arkham. I love keys. I love these keys. Uh, I think they should have pretty much like always been in the game. They give you such an interesting option to unlock stuff that's not just here's another location with victory on it. Like go and get a key and you can get something awesome. I think that's really cool. I think flooding, it's a little fiddly, but I think it leads to so much tension. Like it adds tension to the game that's not just the natural doom clock. So yeah, I mean, I just love so much about Innsmouth. Innsmouth also, like you know, like a lot has been made about the experience issue. You know, where you're going back and forth in time, so they're like, you can't spend your experience that you gain, which can be kind of a bummer. But then it's kind of nice when you all of a sudden you're like, oh, now I have 18 experience to spend. It's good for the people who like. It was really good for me the first time I played it because I was always a person who was just like, well, I got experience. I'm going to spend it right away. And it kind of taught me that saving up your experience sometimes to get something really powerful is strong and fun. Like there's a reason those cards are so expensive. So yeah, I really like Innsmouth. I'll always be happy to play it. I think Pit of Despair to me is the best opening scenario in the game, and it's like really scary. I like Vanishing of Alina Harper. I know some people don't really like it. It's kind of gimmicky, but like I liked the Murder at the Prancing Pony in Lord of the Rings, and it has that same vibe. And then you go to In Too Deep, and In Too Deep to me, slam dunk, best scenario ever in Arkham Horror. It's exciting, it's scary. It seems like it should be feel samey, but it never does. Like you can just play it over and over and over again, and it's always going to be tense and exciting. Okay, Edge of the Earth. Edge of the Earth has a lot going for it and a lot going against it. The biggest complaint about Edge of the Earth for a lot of people is the amount of writing in it. They kind of go really over the top with writing for Edge of the Earth, and it's not that good. The storyline stuff. The scenarios themselves are actually pretty good, though. The maps are too big. It is funny. It has these huge, unbelievable sprawling maps that are ridiculous, but probably the best scenario in the whole campaign has like 5 locations in a straight line with To the Forbidden Peaks. But yeah, every other thing is just like, I hope you have a few leaves for your table. So it has big downsides, but I think the actual scenarios are cool. I think Frost tokens are cool. Tekalilis are interesting. They can be kind of a bummer. So yeah, I think overall I would say it's at good. I think I like Edge of the Earth more than I dislike it. Unfortunately, I cannot say the same for Scarlet Keys. Scarlet Keys, I have to go with the crowd and say that I'm not a fan of Scarlet Keys. The first time I played Scarlet Keys was the only time that I've considered not finishing a campaign. I mean, this is the writing problem to the nth degree. The storylines are undercooked, they're random, and that kind of goes with it being an open world campaign. I do like that you can plug standalones into it well, because you never want to pay the experience to do a standalone. But yeah, I don't like the box specific things. Like I was raving about the Innsmouth ones, and I don't like the Scarlet Keys ones at all. I don't like the keys in this one; they're very different, and I don't like Concealed. And this had some of the my least favorite scenarios I've ever played. Shades of Suffering, everybody knows, is bad. I hated what is it, Sanguine Shadows. I really dislike that, and like the finale is the most forgettable thing ever. Like I just don't like Scarlet Keys. Maybe someday it'll click for me, but so far, like next time I play Scarlet Keys, I'm gonna be like I'm gonna play my favorite investigators and just try to have a good time with it. Maybe like bring in some really fun standalones early on that give you some fun like benefits, just to try and make the most of my Scarlet Keys run. All right, and now we go to the most recent one, Feast of Hemlock Vale. This one's good. I think this one learned a lot from the previous two. I think there were some growing pains. They moved to the new release structure at Edge of the Earth, and I think there was definitely some growing pains figuring out how to best design for that structure. I think it got worse for Scarlet Keys, but Scarlet Keys is really ambitious. I just think that like they broke the test tube with it. But I think they pulled it together a lot for Feast of Hemlock Vale. I love the setting. It's the very like Wicker Man, Midsommar, with a little bit of Annihilation in there. I think the setting is awesome. I like the progression of days. I will say, like, I am not violently against the preludes, but like I do think that it would be nice if they came up with a workaround for them, because you don't want to do them like all the time. Well, like I would like to play Feast of Hemlock Vale often. Do you just like cheat and say that you did the preludes and give yourself some benefits? I don't think it would be that bad, because it's pretty easy to get those benefits in the preludes. But yeah, I mean, it has really cool vibes. I like how the days change. Day and night, I wish got played with a little more, because it's pretty cool. But there's some really cool scenarios in here. And like Longest Night is definitely one of those ones that's like always going to be a challenge and exciting. Like even if you really build for Longest Night, it's hard. Like you will get got for that one. So yeah, I think Feast of Hemlock Vale to me is mostly great. In fact, like, it's great. Like, you know, these here, if I was being objective, are probably not as good. But they're my favorites because I just really get excited to play them. So that's it. This was, again, a little test video. Just wanted to try out some stuff, do a little talking. And yeah, if you watched it, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Subscribe to the channel, I guess. I hope to do more content in the future. I kind of ran out of steam a little bit, and I think part of it is because I was doing Night of the Zealot and I wasn't excited to go to the Devourer below. But I hope to do more content in the future, more talking stuff like this, more gameplay, maybe some other stuff too. But I can't promise anything. But yeah, thank you very much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the future. Bye.